Okay, as you guys were told in class, you're going to have to find a partner. Now, you can do this on your own, but you're going to have to do both parts on your own as well. So let's move forward. Okay, so we're going to start off with these possible genotypes, right? These possible alleles. Now, I want to point out that this is what we discussed in class, that this is actually a gene, right? What's this gene for? It's length of neck, right? The length of neck gene. It's either going to be long or short. Long is going to be the big N allele, which is dominant in this case, and the little n is going to be the short allele. The short neck is the little allele, or the recessive gene. You need two of these in order to see them. To see the short neck, you only need one of these alleles to get the long neck. Now, remember that when we talk about one or two, we're talking about that every organism, once it becomes an embryo, every organism has two copies of each gene, right? One gene from mom and one gene from dad, and how many chromosomes you have depends on that particular organism. Now, dad and mom's allele might be the same for a length of gene, or they might be different. When they're the same, we call them homozygous. Homozygous. Means homo means the same, zygous same gene, so these are going to have the same alleles, either big A, or little a, depending if they're homozygous dominant or homozygous recessive. If they're different, we're going to call them heterozygous. Hetero means different, zygous genes, so little a would be heterozygous, okay? So either homozygous or heterozygous, depending on the combination, but both of the parents are going to give a copy of this gene. All right. Now, to figure out, rather than me giving you a genotype, what I'd like you to do is get a coin out, or something that you can flip that has two different sides. And you're going to say, well, if it's head, it's going to be the dominant. If it's recessive, it's going to be, if it's tails, it's going to be recessive. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to say, well, heads, you have a coin, you're flipping it. You're flipping it heads or tails, and as you flip it, you're gonna decide heads equals the dominant form, the big letter, and the tail is gonna represent the recessive. It really doesn't matter if it's the heads or tails, but one side's going to be dominant, the other side's going to be recessive. You're going to flip it, you're going to keep it consistent, and then you're going to come up with what letters your particular dragon has. So here, as you can see, the first thing you have to figure out is what letters are used for wing color. You look around in this key and you find out what letters you're using for wing color. What are the letters you're using for neck length? Look around here and see what you're using for neck length. Y is used. What is the letter Y used for? Figure it out here. Letter E is used for what? Again, look around here. Now, notice that's lowercase e, and this is uppercase y. All right, so that's important. Then it says uppercase or capital letters used to represent the dominant trait, which we just went over, and lowercase is used to represent the recessive trait. So this is dominant recessive project. There are other ways of inheriting, and we'll be covering those. Dominant traits completely mask or suppress recessive traits. So as I said, in the case of long neck, if you have, all you need is one long neck gene, because even if you have a short neck gene or allele, the long neck will cover it up or repress the other. So that's what dominance means. It doesn't mean stronger. It just means that when it's present, it shows up. And it's a biochemical term, so it's able to produce that gene product that gets a result. All right, so refer to the key to answer the following questions. List 6 dominant traits shown in the key. Find 6 dominant traits here. List 6 recessive traits shown in the key. Find 6 recessive traits. That's all you had to do with this first sheet, first page. Now, there's some instructions you have to do here. You have to paste your genetic code here. I don't want you to paste it. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and flip your coins, right? And to decide what your genetic code is. I'm going to do an example. I don't need you I don't want you to copy what the example I give you. I want you to come up with your own by flipping your coin. So I'm flipping my coin now, and I get heads for neck, or let's say, so I'm flipping my coin, I get heads for neck, and that means the dominant, so that's a capital N. But then I get 2 alleles because I'm making the parent here on this worksheet. You're making your dragon, not your baby. So you have a capital N, and I have to flip my coin again. Oh, I got tails, so that's lowercase n. So that's big N, little n. And then the next gene is H. I flip, I get little h. I flip again, I get tails, I get little h. I flip it again, I get capital G. I flip it again, I get capital G. I flip it again, I get little s. I flip it again, I get big S. And so I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this for all the genes and all the alleles. And if I look, I can tell what trait I'm going to get, because here I have 2 little h's, so I'm going to have the recessive trait. Here I have the dominant trait because I have 1 dominant showing up. Here I'm going to get the dominant trait because I have 2 dominants showing up. And lastly, I have 1 dominant here, so I'm going to get the dominant phenotype showing up here. By the way, the thing you see, the trait that you actually see, we call it phenotype. All right. This here, this genetic code, is called the genotype. Now, let me. This is a genotype. Okay. So the phenotype is what you see. Okay. All right. So once you've created your genetic code, you're not pasting, you're creating it by flipping a coin. Once you've created, you have your alleles for all your genes. Now, if you're working with a partner, you guys have to decide if your dragon is going to be a male or is going to be a female. If it's a female, it'll have an XX, obviously, and if it's a male, it's going to have an X and a Y, right? So one of you two have to have an XX, the other has to have an XY. Now, if you're doing the dragon on your own, then you can do one set, this flipping the coin business to come up with your genetic code. You do that once for your dragon, and then once again for another dragon. So you're going to do this twice. If you have a partner, your partner's done this, you've done this. I would work with a partner, it makes it easier and more fun. But that's up to you. So on chromosome number 1, you have a certain set of genes. As I've told you before, that's how chromosomes work, right? So on this particular chromosome number 1, you have neck length, eye color, horn, and spikes. And you're going to find the genotype for each of these. So let's just go ahead and keep following the example of neck length. In neck length, we know that this particular dragon I'm making has a genotype of capital N, little n. Now you could have big N, or you can have little n. It all depends on your flip of your coin. Is this homozygous or heterozygous? Well, we just said, if you want to rewind, go ahead and rewind. This is heterozygous. I'm just going to put hetero. And the phenotype, again, is what is it that you're going to see? Well, the neck length you're going to see is what? A reminder, you have the dominant allele, so you're going to see the dominant trait. So it's going to be a long neck. Why is it long? Because you have a capital N. If you had two little n's, it'd be short neck. And you do the same thing for the rest of these. It's just that simple. This should take you minutes, right? You're flipping the coin. That's going to be the most time-consuming thing. Make sure you get that straight. Then you fill in your genotype, your homo or hetero, and the phenotype, one genotype, and then the phenotype for all three chromosomes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. All 13, right? All 13 genes. All right, let's go on to the next page. Now this one, it's going to be more difficult. I'm sending you the PDF too. You can photocopy it, you can trace it, you can print it, whatever works for you. You can draw it. Unfortunately, I photocopied the dragons, this sheet, with stuff on the other side, and that's going to be difficult to actually cut it out if you have stuff on the other side that you need to turn in. So trace it, draw it, print it again, or copy it, however you like to handle it. But in some way, you're going to have to represent that you have a head with freckles, you have a head without freckles. Well, which one did you get? It depends on what genotype you have, whether you're breathing fire or not. Again, that depends on your genotype and your phenotype. That will determine your phenotype, etc., for all the different traits that you see here. And you're going to put them together and make your dragon. Now you can go ahead and trace and draw it if you like, or again, copy it and cut it out if you like. Of course, I want it colored in because some of the traits are color. I believe it's yellow, and of course the fire should be red. All right. So here's where you're going to put together your pet dragon model, right? So you're either going to draw it, or you're going to cut and paste it, or you're going to do whatever you need to do to get a version of a dragon here that's correct. It needs to match your genotype. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to look at your dragon. If it looks nice, hey, those are bonus points for sure. If it looks nice as bonus points, it's, if it's pleasing to the eye, it shows a little work, great. But I'm going to look at your genotype and I'm going to compare it to this pet dragon. If it matches, you win. All right, let's move on. All right, so making the baby dragon. Now you have to make some decisions, right? Let's go ahead and read this together. So for this part of the activity, find a partner in your class. Again, you should have already set that up, your partnership, if you're going to have a partner. If you want to do it on your own, you can, but you're going to have to do that first part again. All right, with the opposite sex, right? And so if you do it yourself the second time, make sure if you made a male first, you're going to make a female second time. If the first time you made a female, you want to make a male the second time. So your opposite sex of pet dragon that you have. So if you have a male, get a female. If you have a female, get a male. Then using your pet dragon's genotypes on page 2, determine which genes will pass on to its offspring. Do this again by flipping a penny. You're going to get a coin out again. Now, if you so it's real simple, right? If you flip the heads up, then you pass on the first gene listed on your genotype. You flip tails, you're gonna pass the second. So let's talk about long neck, because that's the gene we've been talking about. We know it's on chromosome 1. So if your pet dragon has big N, little n, should draw it like this, and you flip a coin and it's heads, then you're going to pass on big N, right? So you have big N here. Only one gene, not both. because you're only delivering one chromosome, one copy of the chromosome. Where's the other chromosome coming from? Your partner or your second dragon, however you're doing it. Now, let's say you don't have big N, little n. What if you had little n, little n? Well, that's easy. You're just going to give little n. That's all you can give. And now if you had, what's the other option? Big N, big N. Again, easy. You're giving a big N. All right? And so you do that for each of these genes here. Once you've done each of those genes, of course, you have your X and your Y down here, right? Chromosome number 4 is X and Y. So you decide which one of these two you're giving. Again, how are you going to decide? You're flipping a coin. So now here we're going to decide what the baby dragon's genotype and phenotype is. So you have either you have two dragons, right? You have your dragon, and then you have your partner's dragon. And your partner has come up with the chromosomes. You have your first of all, you have your genotype, right? For all your different genes. You have your phenotype. That's the dragon that you drew up. That's what you see, right? Does it have horns or not? Does it breathe fire or not? Whatever. And your partner has that genotype too. Now, I say partner. If you don't have a partner, you're doing this twice, right? Dragon 1 and Dragon 2, right? You're doing this twice. And so, clearly, if you have a partner, they have a genotype, you have a genotype, you have a phenotype, they have a phenotype, and that's your dragons, your pet dragons. Now you have 4 chromosomes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know whether each one of these chromosomes only has one version of the gene. You have either big N, or G, H, or S, right? So you're only going to have one version of each of these letters on that particular chromosome, right? That's just an example. I don't remember what genes went on that chromosome. But you would do that the same for each of these chromosomes. There's only one copy of each of the letters because there's only one copy of each of the genes on each of the chromosomes. Well, where's the second copy coming from? From either your partner's dragon or the second dragon that you did. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, either they gave you N, they put down N or G or H or S, right? And for each of their 4 chromosomes, they're going to have the genes that they're giving. Together, they're going to give the genes, the genotype for the baby. This is the baby. And we want to make sure your partner's name is written in there, your name is written in here, so that we can match it up and make sure there were no mistakes made. So the length of the neck, if your partner if you gave a big N and your partner gave a small n, that's the genotype. Now, where did I get the big N and small n? Well, you had a big N here, and your partner gave a small n. This is just an example. I don't know what it's going to end up. I don't expect it to look like this. And so then you'd say, well, is it homozygous or heterozygous? Hopefully you see that there's heterozygous. There's a capital N, that's one version of the gene, and you have the recessive version here, so you have 2 versions of the gene. So they're not homo, they're not the same, they're hetero. And then, of course, your phenotype. It has a big N, so that's dominant, so we're going to say long neck. And that's it. You're going to do that for all of the genes and chromosomes for your baby. And remember, you did it for your first 2 dragons, so this should be pretty easy. I think it's kind of fun. You're going to see what kind of baby you're going to make as these 2 dragons mate. And even if you're doing it on your own, you have some luck to it with a coin. It's interesting to see what comes out. So you have, right now at this stage, you have your pet dragon that you made You have its genotype, you have the phenotype chart filled out, you have your dragon parts either drawn or cut out or however you managed it. You have a version of the dragon that matches your genotype, that's your pet dragon. Then either you have a partner or you did another dragon of the opposite sex so that you can go ahead and then do this, which is making the baby, and by the end of this section, page 6, what I would expect is you'd have this filled out for all 4 chromosomes. So now here is your baby dragon parts. You're going to decide, what does your baby's phenotype have? Does it have freckles? Does it have a long neck or a short neck? Does it have 4 toes or 3 toes? A belly? Does it have a long tail or short tail? Or does it have tail spikes or not? Not tail spikes or not. Wings or no wings? Ear frills or no ear frills, fire breathing or not? You have to make those decisions based on the genotypes and phenotypes that you've created in your charts. And here's where you're going to put it all together. Again, either you're going to draw it, or you're going to photocopy it and cut it out and color it, or you're going to print it and color it and cut it out and color it, or trace it and put it all together however you want to handle it. Alright, and that's it. After you're done with that, you're done with this packet. It's a quick, fun review over what we've done. And if you do it right, you get a lot of points. It does take a little effort, a little thought. It's not going to be easy if you don't completely understand genotype and phenotype. Review this video and see what you try to get as much from this video as you can. It should help you put together these dragons. All right, good luck. Also, you have your partners to get some feedback from. Any questions? Email me. All right, bye-bye. Or rather, Jupiter Grade, message me. Happy Thanksgiving. The other video may have to wait till tomorrow. I'm pretty tired. In any case, either tonight or tomorrow, you'll get a second short video explaining the second packet. Have a good day.